Some of you may have seen on social media that a couple weekends ago I went for a cruise with a local Subaru group called Subaru Sustenance. Pretty cool guys. First ride that I've ever done cruising with Subarus. The car did all right. It started breaking up really bad on me. And not entirely sure what the breakups were. Last weekend, Chris, the guy that wrapped the roof on this, came by the shop and we both tore into the STI here. My first instinct was to check the plugs and see if any of the plugs were fouled up and if I would have some sort of problem in there. I didn't throw any check engine lights. I didn't have any massive loss of power, but it definitely felt off. So that was my first go-to, was pull the plugs. I've never pulled spark plugs on an EJ or a boxer motor for that. And Chris offered to come by and give me a hand. So we went ahead and knocked it out. It's so much easier than I thought it was going to be. I had some pretty big fears that the crash structure and the motor were going to not really have a whole lot of clearance to get the spark plugs out, and I was going to have to drop the motor. And that is not on my list of things that I want to do right now. Yeah, they came out pretty easily. At some point, somebody had done the spark plugs in this. Obviously, at almost 200,000 miles, I think it's 172. Obviously, the spark plugs have been done before, and I haven't done them. I messaged the previous owner. He said he never did them while he had it, so we're assuming, again, somebody at some point along the line. And one of the things that jumped out pretty quickly when we pulled these is that they had the wrong spark gap. I'm going to try and set this up here so that you can see this. Hopefully I can get this in frame. Focus. There it goes. So that massive gap right there, I'm measuring it at about 050. And the factory service manual that I've been able to find online says anywhere between 023 and 030. I don't really know a whole lot about which is better. I know you need different temperatures for different boost levels and different fuel levels. Gap, haven't really played a whole lot around with gap. I do know with boosted applications, the larger the gap, the harder it is for the spark to go across it, and the higher the chance that the increased pressure in the cylinder can blow out that spark. So we put in a brand new set of plugs, these guys right here. So we pulled those out, I checked those. Every one of those were gapped already to about the exact same. I want to say they were 023, 024, something like that. Half of what the gap was on the ones that we took out of it. So I think that's going to help significantly. But we did run into some problems, and that's why the car's still here. So let me spin you around and get you over there and show you what problems we ran into. To give you a better idea what's going on, we are going to have to remove some things first, because we need to get down there and get to, there it is, get to that coil pack with the zip tie on it. So we went ahead and got the mass airflow and the filter off to gain some access down here to the coil pack that we need to replace. And, you know, like I said, every time I work on this car, I find something new that a previous owner had done that is either super awesome or has me scratching my head going, why? This is one of those times that I'm scratching my head at one of the previous 10 owners of this car, and I'm going, why? Why did you do this? Let's get you in here closer. So this I might be wrong, and obviously somebody in the comments below is going to call me out on this, but I believe this is one of those early 2000s, what did they call them? Tornado? I don't know. It was some sort of device that they said you stuck in your intake after your filter, and what it did was create a vortex inside your intake pipe to allow more air to get sucked into the motor because there was less restriction because the air was swirling in a vortex motion. And while the vortex idea clearly works in that 2 soda bottle experiment, I really can't see any performance gains in this platform where I'm rotating my air across some corrugated pipe into a sharp 90 bend directly into a turbo blade that's already spinning and chopping the air. With the intake piping out of the way, you can get a little bit better look at what's going on down here. So you'll see, pretty obviously, that bright yellow zip tie right there. Now I will say the bright yellow zip tie is my zip tie. However, when we took the coil pack off, there already was a zip tie on there. Somebody previously had broke the little clip down here. I'll get you in closer in a minute to see it. But somebody had previously broken the clip down here, and we assumed the zip tie was holding that clip in. But as you'll see here in a second, that is not what actually happened. All right, a little bit closer shot here. You can see the zip tie is just holding the connector on, and obviously you can see the lock on the connector here is broken off and missing. And obviously I didn't get the connector in correctly because it's all sorts of askew and crooked right here. But I don't think this is actually where the real problem was. Let me cut off the zip tie and I'll show you what I actually found underneath this. With the zip tie out of the way, you can see that the connector doesn't even sit in here anymore. It just completely falls right out. So the zip tie was doing a purpose of just keeping all this nice and crimped together so it would still work. But it's not gonna work because the inside is sheared off. So even if I magically managed to get these three lined up properly to fit into the three male pins in here, and I shoved all these together and magically got all that to work, there's no shielding and insulation between these three. So there's a high potential that I'm gonna have some shorts between all of these and cause a weird issue with this coil pack. And this alone could cause some of the hesitations and the power loss that I saw. Add on to it the double the normal expected amount for a spark gap, and the two of these together are a significant contribution to what my problem is, I hope. So what does it take to fix this? Well, you can just depin this connector, hopefully find a new connector, put the pins in the new connector, and off you go. Luckily, there's a company out there that does that. So for $8, I got 4 connectors, 2 of which I can use because they're the black. The front 2 connectors for the front coil packs are connected to this harness right here. The front ones are gray, the back ones are black. I don't know if that actually makes a difference, but for argument's sake, I have some spares to replace this one. So that's what I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna replace this and see if my issue goes away. That was significantly easier than I thought it was gonna be. I wasn't sure I was gonna be able to get the old ones out properly and get the new ones out, and like, I wasn't sure I was gonna be able to depin that and put the old wire into here. So I pulled out all of the soldering iron stuff that I have, all the soldering stuff over there, and I was fully prepared to just chop away at this, obviously do it correctly in the different locations and heat shrink it and all the stuffs, right? So I was fully prepared to do all of that, so you'd never know that I put a new rat tail on the end of this. But I didn't need to. It just focused. It just worked. Super easy. These things are awesome. Absolutely awesome. Wires just came out of the old crusty one. Absolutely no problem there. They pretty much fell out. And then once I pulled this orange guy here, there's little tabs on the inside. So pull the tab up, slide the wire out, and voila, all done. So I'm gonna get all this thrown back together, and then we've got one more thing to replace, and I can start this up and see if my check engine light goes away. Last thing we need to do that we all suspect is one of the reasons for the lack of power is the mass airflow. So the reason we suspect mass airflow might be a problem is because, focus, that right, oh there you go. That is a Mazda emblem. That is a Subaru. Mazda MAF. In a Subaru. Sure, the connector might fit, but how good is that MAF knowing that it's for a different non-Subaru vehicle. So when in doubt, buy the real stuff. Brand new from Rock Auto, best place ever. OEM, Subaru, Denso, mass airflow. And get this swapped out real quick. Absolutely nothing to this, just these two Phillips head screws, out with the old, in with the new. No need to bring you along for that. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. 2 screws, out with the old, in with the new. So let's go fire her up, clear out the check engine light, and see if it comes back. All right. Sorry, this is gonna be boring. And there's gonna be beeps. Oh, hey. I unplugged this so it wouldn't drain the battery. Let's plug this back in. All right, let's try that again. Yes, I know that wasn't my Subaru. I haven't plugged this back into a computer since I bought it to reset it to put my Subaru on there. So you get whatever's factory. Troubleshooting, I think. Clear codes, reset ECU. No, let's double check. We'll read codes real quick, just so y'all can see what was here. There you go. P0303, misfire cylinder number 3, which is the guy that we just fixed. So, reset. Key off, wait, do it again. Key off. I'll see you in 15 seconds. And we're back. Turn it on. Let the fuel pump prime. Pretty sure it's already off. Try and start. I don't expect it to start first couple tries because we did just reset the ECU and it's got to relearn. And I guess the car took that personally and decided to go ahead and start the first time. So I'll tell you now, the wobble is gone. I had a pretty nasty wobble from the misfire, and I don't feel that anymore. I know, cold revving. Get over it. No check engine light. I think we're good. All right, I think that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and close down the hood, button up the shop a little bit. I'm not gonna pack up for the night. I'm gonna go take it for some street polls and see if the hesitation and the issues we had went away. I should note, I'm sure some of you are gonna wanna see these street polls. I don't have a GoPro with me today, nor do I have any suction cups. And I'm not holding this in my hand while I try and do it. So I apologize, and you'll have to see it again in the future. All right, I think that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and close down the hood, button up the shop a little bit. I'm not gonna pack up for the night. I'm gonna go take it for some street pulls and see if the hesitation and the issues we had went away. I should note, I'm sure some of you are gonna wanna see these street pulls. I don't have a GoPro with me today, nor do I have any suction cups. And I'm not holding this in my hand while I try and do it. So I apologize, and you'll have to see it again in the future.